Hello, welcome to another episode of Daily Wisdom Words Podcast. I am your co-host, Rini O'Day.
Hey everyone, I'm your co-host, Naturopathic. We want to give you a very warm welcome to our latest episode.
Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time as we talk to guests who have stories, advice, and life hacks, all of which take you one step closer to the feeling of hope.
Today, we're very proud to welcome a graduate of the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine and a strong advocate of mental health awareness, Bisleen Attli. Hi, Bisleen. Welcome to our show.
Hi, Bisleen.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, kiddo,
Super excited to be here.
You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Toronto. Oh, beautiful city.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You've been there your whole life?
Yeah, I pretty much have grown up here. I was actually born in India, so my parents came here when I was 5, but I relate more to Canada than India.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter where you're born, it matters where you were, raised, a part of the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I know that I mentioned in my intro about studying naturopathic medicine. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how did you become interested in all of that?
Yeah, so just a little bit about what naturopathic medicine is first, I guess. It's a holistic form of medicine. So I always just love to give the comparison of, you going to a family doctor versus a naturopathic doctor. So when you go to your family doctor, you spend 5-10 minutes, tell them what you're experiencing and feeling, and then based on that, they'll write you medication and send you on your way and then do the appropriate follow-ups. Naturopathic doctors work a little differently. The first visit is usually like an hour and a half. And during that time, they're getting a complete history about your health, who you are, and basically assessing anything that could be contributing to your symptoms. And then based on that, they create a comprehensive treatment plan. And then you have those follow-ups accordingly, and usually follow-ups are like 30 minutes long. So it's essentially a holistic form of medicine where we encompass all areas of your health. And we really believe in collaborating with other medical doctors because there's a time and place for both medicines. And I became interested in this form of medicine when I was actually diagnosed with depression when I was 16 years old. So I remember when I was 16, I got diagnosed, and really the only option I had was either doing therapy or starting medication. And I chose not to do either, which was probably a mistake. And as a result of that, my health just started to get worse and worse. And until I got to this point where I was forced to start medication, I did. And that's kind of where my journey with mental health really began. This was in second year university. Things just got so bad for me that I actually ended up in the hospital as a result of my depression. And I was like,
wow.
I can't live like this anymore. So that's when I started to take radical shifts to change my mental health. So I tried medication. I started trying different types of therapy. And I just started putting in hours and hours of work just to really figure out how I should be living my life, because I had all these goals and dreams, but my mental health was nowhere where it needed to be to help support me to get there. And it's after doing like years of experimenting and working on myself that I was finally able to get out of that. And through this, I discovered naturopathic medicine because I realized that, medication and therapy is just one piece of it, right? 2 little pieces of it. And there's so much more that needs to be done, You need to be exercising, you need to be eating right, you need to make sure your sleep is well, you need to make sure the relationships that you're cultivating in your life are ones that nourish you and help build you up. And there's just so much more to having great mental health. And so once I discovered that and I realized naturopathic medicine is a profession, I was like, oh my God, this is like my calling. So that's how I kind of ended up here.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Will you come move in with me and my family? We got a nice room for you. I'll share you with Neil.
I'll visit Callie.
No, girl, we'd have fun.
Yeah. And wow, that's such a great answer because you just answered like 2, 3 questions that
I
we
know.
had at a time. You answered them. That's great. We love that. So I'm going to jump around a bit, Rini, if that's okay. And
Oh,
you
go
talked
for
about,
it.
coexisting that naturopathic medicine, getting together with other doctors and kind of how easy or difficult is that, like having this alternative medication versus pharmaceutical drugs? Can they, I mean, because there's so many people today who are so divided, right? Today it's like, oh, I'm not putting chemicals in my body. But then others are like, no, well, there is a need for that depending on the person, depending on their illness. So it can they coexist, and how are they coexisting? Is it a good relationship? Could it be better? Could it be, I mean, where does that currently stand in your opinion?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a big believer in that there is a time and place for both. And I really think that doctors, especially, shouldn't be so one-sided, right? Because I think that when you get so strongly held on your belief, it closes you off to like the magic of medicine. And that's what I really think medicine is. I think it's magical. And you need to keep yourself open to every single avenue because you never know what could be possible for a patient. And everybody's just so different in how they work that I think it's so important to be open. And I think that right now there is a divide in medicine because, I've seen my challenges in terms of expressing what naturopathic medicine is to conventional doctors and them being, just straight up like, no, that's like you do witchcraft, right? Like, no, of course you don't. Like, and even what we learn in school, like so much of it is research-based. And we try our best to make sure the things that we give our patients are supported by lots of research. But of course, there are limitations to that. Not everything is supported by research, but we do our best, because we care about the safety of our patients. But I think there's a really big divide in that. And also a lot of conventional doctors don't learn about naturopathic medicine in medical schools. So already they don't have the knowledge on it. And, they're just hearing things through grapevines and what people have told them. And there's just such a huge divide in that. And I really think as as patients, we should also continue to be open to all of these avenues of medicine. Because again, time and place for both, right? Like if my arm somehow got chopped off right now, like don't give me herbs, send me to a hospital now, right? Give me all the medications.
And maybe got some arrowroot.
Yeah, no, I don't want any of that. Hospital now, all the strongest drugs, give me them now. I don't want to feel the pain, right? So again, time and place for both medicines. But I think also where we have it so wrong is that everybody just wants a quick fix. And right now, the biggest thing that's prevalent in our society are chronic illnesses, right? So those are illnesses that last years and years and years, and there's no quick fix for that. And when it comes to things like that, you need a combination of both medicines to really help you.
Wow. So what is the difference between a naturopath and a medical doctor as far as schooling goes?
Yeah. So in terms of schooling, so we have a 4-year med school. They also have a 4-year med school. The way that things are taught, though, are different. We learn pharmaceutical medications as well. So we're kind of learning what they're learning too. But then on top of that, we learn all the holistic and naturopathic ways to treat and heal as well. The other part where it gets a little bit different is, so our last year of school is when we do our internships, and that's when all year we're working with patients to get experience, versus with conventional medicine, they tend to have specialties that they go to after they graduate. So right now we're not authorized to do that, or we would also have that as well. And we're not allowed to say that we specialize in the field. Like I can say I have a mental health focus, but I can't say that, I specialize in mental health, right? Because we don't have, our college doesn't allow for us to do that. So those are kind of like the biggest differences in terms of our schooling.
Now, do you have doctor in front of your title, or do you have OD after it?
Yeah, so we do have doctor because now we're regulated in Ontario. Naturopathic doctors are regulated. So we do have doctor, and then after that, we just have to write ND just to indicate what type of doctor we are.
Okay, but you cannot write prescription medication, correct?
No, we can. So we have a limited amount of prescriptions that we can write. I know naturopathic doctors in Vancouver have a bigger list that they can prescribe because they have more freedom there. I think they can even do minor surgery there too, but here we're not allowed that. But we are trying to find our ways to be able to prescribe a little bit more. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I have a broken heel. Can you prescribe something? No, I'm just kidding.
He messed up his heel yesterday.
Yeah, I had injured it yesterday.
You can dress him up, but you cannot walk him around the block.
Yeah. I hope you get better soon.
Right. So you mentioned earlier a little bit about how you got into it, tied in with your own mental health, and that's what we see a lot of on Instagram. So how did this specific thing of your interest in helping people overcome negative thoughts, because I know that's a big thing that you advocate on social media. How did that specific start? Was that because of your own personal experience and you found out, okay, that if I had taken this approach, maybe I would have felt better back in the day with your depression? Or how did you come like that? Oh, this is a big thing, overcoming negative thoughts. Like, how did that become an area of interest for you?
So definitely my story and me experiencing firsthand plays a huge role in it, because once I started to overcome my thinking and starting to optimize myself, my whole life completely changed. And I started to achieve so many things that, people were too afraid to do. And I got a greater level of confidence, and I just started seeing myself as this unstoppable being, and the world just reciprocated that to me. And it kind of made me start to realize how much
you exude that. You exude that confidence. You
Thank you so much. It's hard work.
I know.
Just going, and once I started to overcome my mindset, I started to realize, wow, I can literally do anything I want to do. And I started realizing and seeing how many people around me really limited themselves because of what was going on in their mind. And I didn't want that. And I don't want that. And especially with young people today, because a lot of the work that I do, the mental health campaign that I have, and, me being a young person who was depressed, stuck in negative thinking, I really want to give back as much as possible. Because again, I think each and every one of us, we're capable of such incredible success, but we need to overcome what's kind of happening in our mind first to get there. And so that's kind of where it's kind of come up for me. And also during my journey, just seeing how many people around me were suffering, and no one really tells them how to get out of it, right? Again, we have medication, we have therapy, but what's that step-by-step process? And that's something that I've spent the past 10 years trying to come up with. And that's what I teach students now in high school, and give them that step-by-step approach, right? Because even just figuring out where to start with your mental health is a huge challenge on its own. And so that's kind of where all this came about.
Oh, I wish they did that here.
Right. That's a very good point. You said
I can come to California. I'm ready.
Come on. Ready to get the private jet. Oh wait, we don't own one.
We don't have one.
We don't own one.
Right.
I'll buy one.
What is something you would tell, let's say somebody a young person, like you said, who has depression and has negative thoughts, and that first step, I know obviously there's no quick fix, that there's no magical cure, that it's a process, but what would you say, seek out therapy? What would you tell them to start with if they're at rock bottom psychologically?
Totally. And this is exactly where I started off with when I felt like I was at rock bottom. Is literally the first step is to take 10, 15 minutes, sit down and write down everything that you feel like is wrong in your life or not okay. Because so many of us, again, we feel like we're struggling, we feel like we're suffering, but no one actually takes the time to sit down and be like, okay, why am I suffering? What are the things contributing to my suffering? Because you need to accept where you're at and realize what are the things contributing to that, to go to the next step, to be like, okay, now what am I going to do about it? And then once you have created that list of, these are all the things contributing to my poor mental health, then it's literally looking at that list, choosing one thing, asking yourself, what is it that I'm going to do about it? Seeing, can I handle this on my own? Do I need to get extra support and help? Who can I reach out to? And then creating an actionable way to actually go about doing that. And then, working on that thing for a little bit, and then moving on to the next thing, and then moving on to the next thing. And that's how you slowly start to cultivate great mental health, is just choosing one thing at a time, fully working on that and dedicating yourself to that, and then moving on to the next thing. And then in a few months, you look back and now you're in a completely different spot, because, now you were able to change 10 things, but it just starts with you changing one thing at a time.
Wow.
Is that, do you think it's more difficult today? Like you mentioned, so many young people, and especially the impact of social media, and, you know, where there's so much negativity and much of it is such a mirage. Is it harder to do, like, do you think because all the technology involved in the 21st century, like, especially with young people?
Yeah. So again, I'm a big advocate. Like, I don't think social media is bad at all. I think the way that we use it is bad. And so I don't think that it's become harder. I think that we've just made it harder for ourselves. And even the research has shown with young people, and they've shown that it's not the amount of time that someone spends on social media, but it's more so what they're doing on it that causes them to have a negative impact on their mental health. And what so many of us are doing on social media is that we, you know, go on it and we scroll on it for hours, we compare ourselves to people, and we're not even using it for what it's meant to. And it's meant to be used for to connect with people. And no one is connecting with anyone on it. You know, they're doing anything but that. Like, I spend quite a bit of time on social media, but I'm posting on there, I'm connecting with people on there, and I'm doing all of these things, and I've never had a negative impact on my mental health. You know?
Well, you're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing good work.
That's why I follow
you're
you,
doing
right?
good work on social media.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing, right? And that's how we can change the impact that it has on our mental health, right? Using it in a positive way in our life. And if we feel like it can't be something positive in our life, and I tell people, don't use it, right? You don't need to have it just because your friends have it. You know, if you've tried to use it in a positive way, it's not working for you, then it's not for you. And that's okay, right? But
don't you find it addicting, though? Don't you find it addicting?
Well, I mean, it's meant to be addicting, right? There's literally teams of people. That's the other thing, too. Bringing in the awareness to that, which I think people forget. People forget that there's literally teams of people they hire who sit around a table asking themselves, how can we make this as addicting as possible, right? And it's starting to bring in that awareness. Because even sometimes I catch myself, you know, for example, like, I think TikTok is so addicting. You know, sometimes I catch myself, but, you know, I'll stop myself after going through like 2-3 videos and like, okay, I'm literally falling into the trap they want me to fall into. I need to get out of here. This is not having a positive impact on my mental health. But people don't take the time to bring in that awareness into their day-to-day, right? I think having that self-awareness is really important, because that's how you develop that discipline.
That's really, really smart. And, you know, at my mature age, I find that, you know what, I don't care what people think anymore. So how do we teach children that the only person that you have to worry about is you, not what other people think of you? And this is the problem.
Well, I mean, a big thing is, right, I think that not enough adults allow kids to be authentic. You know, kids are taught at a young age to behave and be in a certain way just so that they are accepted and people around them will like. And I think really to start, you know, cultivating children and young people who are, you know, themselves unapologetically. It starts as like, as parents, as mentors, and us letting these kids be unapologetically themselves, right? Like, if your kid wants to spend 3 hours painting, let them do that, right?
Exactly.
And it's about still giving them structure too, of course, because you can't let them be like wild, because they probably will be. But I think it's just, you know, giving them that space to be themselves, to be able to express themselves and who they are. And I think that's really important, which I think a lot of us forget, because we want our young people to be a specific way. But when you force them to be a specific way at a young age, then they start to develop that mindset of, you know, I need to be da-da-da-da in order to be liked, and I can't really be myself.
Exactly.
That's huge.
There's so much, your posts on Instagram are so informative. That's one reason why I follow you. I love reading it. And one thing I'm also noticing as we go along in this interview is your answers are so succinctly perfect. Like, you know, some people like,
She's perfect,
you
guys.
answer it so
She's
well,
perfect.
in such a short amount of time, that it's like we have all these questions and you're like you covered this without even us asking. So I love that.
I could talk to her all day.
Yeah,
know, right?
I love these conversations. Love them.
Yeah.
I do. I do.
So I thought we'd go and touch on a couple of things that you posted about.
Yeah.
Maybe you can repeat for our audience, just in case they may not have seen your posts or on that. One thing, you talked about the connection between the gut and the brain health or the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So touch on that. Can you repeat what you posted about it on Instagram for those who may not have seen it?
Yeah, I think this is a super underlooked at connection between for our mental health is the link between our gut and our brain. And so much research has been coming out on this as well. And so what they're showing is that our gut actually has its own nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and it directly communicates with our brain. And the other interesting piece of it is also, so our gut is lined with all these little bacteria. And these bacteria, what they're showing is now responsible. Do you know what serotonin is? I mean, I can kind of explain that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Serotonin is kind of known as one of our biggest happy hormones. And what they're showing now is that 95% of our body's serotonin is actually produced in the gut, not in our brain. And it's those little bacteria that produces, yeah.
That just blew me away.
95% of it is produced in our gut. Yeah.
Fix your gut, fix your happy place.
Yeah.
Literally. Huge. And so, and not even just the serotonin, but also other hormones and stuff that our gut produces as well. And so, in order to, really improve our mental health, and something that I'm going to be, working on with future patients as well, is like improving your gut. Basically, everything that you put in your mouth has a direct impact on your brain health. And so many people underlook that, right? So many people are like, I'm so unhappy, I don't know why. And then you look at their diet, they've been eating a cheeseburger for 5 days, right? And we're disappointed in our bodies not being able to
cancel my lunch cheeseburger.
Yeah. And we get so upset at our minds and our bodies not being able to, give us enough energy, not being able to allow us to think clearly and give us happiness and joy, but we're not giving it the right tools, right? How can you expect your body to have lots of energy and feel good when all you're giving it is like
Oreos,
CRAP, right? Oreos, exactly. It doesn't work like that. So
right. Another thing you had touched upon is the technology before going to bed and staying away from it, right? So how soon should you stop before you're going to bed? How many, what 30 minutes, an hour? How soon should one stop looking at technology?
So I mean, optimally, you should stop an hour to 2 hours before. I think that's a lot for people. So I like to say at least 30 minutes. And then I get people asking me, oh my God.
Do you believe in the blue screen or the glasses that block out that light?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I haven't personally tried them, and I haven't looked at what the research says for it.
Okay.
So I can't comment on that, unfortunately. But what I can still say is that, I still think that, it's still stimulating for your mind, and that you should try to avoid it at least 30 minutes before going to bed. And really, that should be right? And that should be your time to really, do something that actually relaxes you and get your body in a relaxed state. Again, and the amount of patients that I've also worked with, and the only switch that we made in their sleep was to avoid tech 30 minutes before going to bed, then do something relaxing. And I've seen 95% of sleep problems go away.
That's fantastic.
Really? Wow.
Huge.
Wow. That is,
super underlooked. Yeah.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, is the awareness, in the last few years, we've seen a lot of the talk over mental health is definitely increasing. Social media, hashtags, ending the stigma, all that. Do you think it's where it should be, of mental health awareness in general, or do we still have a long way to go before it becomes what people might think is ideal level of, okay, yes, enough people are talking about it, enough action is being taken, enough awareness is being raised?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like I don't know the answer to that one.
There it is again. I have this joke about every guest has ever said that's a great question. They always
tell me that.
No, it's just funny. It's just funny how it is. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Yeah, I don't know if I have the answer to that. I feel like that's a question to ask God.
I know, right?
It's hard to know when, like, I don't know if we will ever get to that point. Or it's always going to be something that, you know, we're going to have to kind of drill into everyone's head. Are you kind of asking like how we know we're going to get there, or if we're ever going to get there?
Both. Are we ever going to get there? Like, is there ever going to be a point where you say, okay, this is the adequate level. Now everybody is talking about it as much as they should and bringing awareness to it, at least, if not taking enough action.
I mean, I'd like to hope we get to that point, but then I also realize we have 7 billion people in the world, and they're also,
growing.
You know, and growing. And then there's so many other big things, like, you know, people don't even have like water to drink or enough food to eat. And unless you have those basic foundations of survival, mental health is out of the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it needs to start in schools. It needs to start in schools. I think schools are such a disservice to our children these days. If they meditated 15 minutes before, not class started, you come into class, you meditate for 15 minutes, and then you get into the work, you know? And I think that would have a huge effect on the bullying and the stress in schools these days, you know? Because,
and I agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, they spend more time in school practically than they do in the home during the 9 months or 10 months they're in school. So, you know, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to agree with you. Yeah.
Okay, but speaking of schools, you said that you go to high schools and you talk to the kids. Could you enlighten us on some of that? I want this to happen around the world.
Yeah. So again, I agree with you on the big thing being, you know, trying to target young people, because again, I was that young person, and especially being in high school. So I started my own mental health campaign, and now I've gotten a few of my colleagues to join with me on that. And so what I've developed is this like workshop where, again, I teach students about the basics of mental health, and then I give them that step-by-step approach that they can apply in their own life. And recently I made a 30-page mental health ebook, like a workbook that the students can take with themselves, and do the work and have the steps in front of them and refer back to it as many times as they want to. And so my big thing here, I mean, starting with Ontario, because this is my home, is starting to, you know, do these workshops here. And right now I'm actually working with one of my old high schools to see if we could implement like a 6-week course that students can kind of take, and they work with me every single week for 6 weeks, and we see the change that they can have with their mental health. So it's kind of in the works right now and seeing where that would go. But yeah, just doing as much work as possible in the schools, because I agree with you. I think so much can be done there, and it needs to be done.
You are amazing. I mean, you took this upon yourself to do this, and you know, this is what we need. We really do.
Yeah.
You know, we need people like you, we need more people like you in the world.
Yeah.
So everybody, be like Bisleen. You know, seriously though. I mean, you're fantastic. You're just an incredible person. So you just graduated, huh? Or you just took how's that?
Yeah, I graduated past. Yeah, it feels a little weird for sure. I feel like I've been a student for too long. I just finished all my licensing exams, and I passed all of them. So I'm just waiting to get my license, which I'll hopefully get by the end of November, and then I can start seeing patients. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
Are you going to go into private practice?
Yeah, my plan is to open and have my own virtual practice so that I can help kind of anyone from anywhere. Make it easy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Are you going to focus on mental health, or both, or just a combination of things, you know, that people that want to take the natural path instead of the direct, you know, let's just write those prescriptions. You know, here's the door.
Yeah, definitely mental health is like my focus, is my passion, and mental health all the way. I mean, open to seeing other people as well where they need support, but definitely mental health is my number one focus. Yeah.
Oh, darn it. I wish you were in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
I will visit sometime for sure.
You come see, we'll have fun.
Yes. Oh, done.
And I got a list of people you can help. No, including me.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
All of us at some point. We all need it.
I know, right?
Yeah, as you go upon this journey of setting up and setting a practice and starting slowly but surely, where can people find you? Tell about all your social media links, website, all that, and where they can follow your work.
Yeah, so social media is super easy. It's at Bisleen Attli on Instagram and TikTok. You can still go to my website, but it's kind of I'm building a new website right now, but right now it's just www.beempoweredbyb.com.
I love that.
Shortly. And thank you. And I'll also be starting a YouTube channel very shortly. So that's a new platform.
Good for you.
As well.
Good for you. Okay. We want to watch that. So let us know when that gets up, okay? Let us know.
For sure.
Because I'm going to highly recommend it to a lot of people. I think you are amazing, you know?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to have you back on.
Thank you. Oh, anytime. I love talking about this stuff, so anytime.
Well, maybe after you get early next year, after you get your practice up and running. And,
once you have that, your website and YouTube channel, we can promote. I mean, you can come on and talk about all of that, and
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to. Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is. I mean, we had planned to do so much, and you answered so much without even us. That this is like I said before, it was so succinct and perfect that I don't know where to say. Right? We
Thank
had
you
all
so
these
much.
questions, and you just answered them one by one, all of them.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to know your passions about mental health and where they stem from.
Well, so should I start reading, or do you want to?
Great question.
Yeah.
No one has ever asked us a question. Go ahead now.
Tell me.
Okay, so I have clinical depression. Have been diagnosed maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe even 7. So that's kind of where it started. And I had a regular Instagram profile for friends and family, but then a lot of people advised me to start one, which is the one where I follow you and messaged you and all that, is strictly based in mental health. And they said, if you put out positivity with all my illustrations and all that, it might come back to you. So I got interested. Simply, it's personal. I was diagnosed with depression and I didn't know where to go. Or, I mean, I see a therapist and all that, but still sometimes it just feels like it's not enough, and then all I can do is look outwardly, look on social media and see what are people like you saying to, get that feeling of hope again. And that's kind of how my interest is. So strictly personal is because of clinical depression. And your channel has been one of the few mediums to really, really help me when I feel down, and I see your posts and I see your videos and I see your little tips and your life hacks. They are fantastic. Yeah. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So glad
my journey started with my kids. Our oldest son, my mother had passed away, and it was the worst 2 weeks of my whole life. I kept fainting, and my husband would thank God for this man. He was there and he picked me up, and he literally led me through life for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden I noticed my son would go, "Mom, I have a stomach ache. I can't go to school today." Or the school would call me and say, "Dylan's in the office. He's not feeling well." And then I started noticing a pattern, and I'm like, And I took him to the doctor, and he thought that he was going to die, that we were going to die, my husband and I. And it caused severe anxiety in him. So I immediately got him into therapy and, did what the doctors recommended. And it has been a lifelong journey. But he's happy now. He's in a great relationship. He has a great career. And, but he was 7. And for me, it's been all about my kids. And I want to teach people that it is the number one thing that you have to take control of in your life is your mental health. All the rest of that stuff, that will come later. But if you don't, if you're not happy here, stuff isn't going to bring you happiness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's how my journey started.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, he's very lucky to have a mother like you.
Oh, thank you. Tell them that. Come
here. Show them this episode. Make sure they watch that, right?
So this one they're going to. 100%.
So you can show them this.
100%. 100% they are going to. I'm going to sit them down on the couch. They're like 28, 24, and 20, but you know, or he's 25. Oh God, I don't remember my kid's age.
We'll cut out this
but
part.
I'm happy. But I'm happy. So, who cares? No, I'm kidding. No, really. Bisleen, thank you. You have been a joy. And it's just been an honor to have you on. And I wish we could talk all day. But,
there's
I think you have things to do.
Time, and we all hate it, but, you know.
I know, right?
We all hate it, but we got to follow it.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck in your career.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we will connect very soon.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Honest.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Girl Scouts honor. Or is that Boy Scout? Or is that
either one? Scouts honor.
Either one. Scouts honor. Scouts honor. Yeah.
Scouts honor. Okay, sweetie. You have a great day.
All right. Have a fantastic
Take care.
So much. Bye.
Okay, it was a pleasure. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. And thank you, Bisleen, for coming on today. And Kona says, hello.
Hey, Kona. So be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at all the links listed in the description. And don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. And if you want to show us a little extra love, we also have a link for donations. Thank you, everyone, once again, and we will see you right here next week at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a great day.
Bye.